Hi, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me. It's lovely to see you, and it's particularly surreal because you were on the cover of my school books when I was growing up.
Wow. do you know what? Like, it's funny. It's these stories that make all of this land so much for me. The music, like, who would have thought that you would be like, you'd even like know my music, let alone be on a school book. Like, I'd still have those pinch me moments. Genuinely,
Yeah.
like something as simple as that.
Yeah.
That was part of your life or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm having a bit of a pinch me moment too right now, kind of fangirling just a little bit.
I love that.
And when I say how are you, I really want to know how you are because I know that you've struggled with your back a lot. And so, how is your back at the moment?
Yeah, do you know what? Thank you for asking. Like, it's so much better than the place it was in. But yeah, I wish that upon no one. And at the same time, I have so much empathy for anyone who sort of plays it off with, I've got a bit of back pain, but actually they're struggling. Do you know what I mean? Because it's such a central column to everything that goes on in the body. So yeah, I'm in a good place. Like now, it's definitely, I'm more conscious about my positions because I know that when that one tweaks, woo, you learn quickly. But yeah, I'm good, thank you.
So speaking of like the fact that your back sent you into such a dark place and it started a whole spiral of things into place, and it left you feeling like really emotionally raw and whatnot. And I suppose that was maybe some of the genesis of the book that you've got coming out, which I cannot wait to get my hands on.
Appreciate it.
And so, how have you how did you manage to work through that? And was the book part of your healing process with the pain and everything like that and the mental health? Was the book a cathartic experience writing that?
Yeah, absolutely. The book was. I'd say the pain though in that initial phase was something because I never experienced it before. I think I'd like to say that I'm able to be in control of things. I think just as human beings, we like to be in control. We like to know what's familiar. That we don't like things that are kind of slightly out of our comfort zone. So when something like that happened in my body at, I think I was like 37 years old, and I was just like, I have never felt this amount of pain in my life ever, which threw me because you think you know your body, you think you know your pain, your thresholds. And I've had acute things that have happened though, if you break something or but this was just like, whoa, it was like putting your hand in 240 volts of electricity, but it continuously happening at random times, so you just never really could get like a break from it. And that spiral, again, I always used to like to reframe everything as positive, and I realized that I couldn't reframe this, and I was spiraling, so I couldn't reframe it. The smile wasn't really working anymore. The pain was coming through, and I was just going into this place where it got very, 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 very dark. And at that point, I had to admit and surrender, which was actually a healing in of itself, that I was experiencing depression. I was experiencing what that is. The depression is when you haven't got the answer, and you're trying to hold on for dear life to try and come up with something, but you don't want to just admit that I need to just let this go and I don't know where I'm going to go to with this. And as soon as you hit that rock bottom, and thankfully in my case it didn't go any further, I was able to see slight light at the end of the tunnel, because it wasn't like I could ask my mum for some magical medicine. It wasn't speaking to someone wasn't going to help the pain go away. That was the thing I was in. And then I started to get some relief by just owning it. And it was many years to get back, but I'm grateful because I feel I can speak on it with empathy now. And I think that's why the book's so important, that it helps people.
So, because previously you've been quite guarded about your personal life, you've been quite private. Was going through all of that with your health, is that what made you decide to wear your heart on your sleeve a little bit more and be more open?
It was definitely one of the catalysts for it. I feel like I was starting to gravitate and lean into a place which was more about speaking my truth and using my voice outside of melodies and actually being able to vocalize experiences and feelings. As you said, I was very, very guarded, and I felt like the unfiltered the nature of voicing a manuscript and having it dictated and then looking at it, because I found it easier to write that way as opposed to doing it like an essay. And then sending it to the editor and then coming back and saying, "Are you sure?" Pressing me on a few things in a nice way of, "Are you sure that's really how you feel? Was that really the?" And I'd be like, "Not quite. Let me go back." And by the time I got so raw to it, that I'd gone to all of the dark places, and they call it like the dark night of the soul, and it's like that moment where you've gone so deep, the only thing you can really see is light after that, because you've gone to the depths of all the things that you used to fear, and now you've confronted that fear, and then all of a sudden now you see it's the courage to share that. And yeah, I got to say that it's been a process, and I say that I'm a journeyman. Like, life will still test you on all of the life lessons, all of the things you think you've mastered. You'll learn, but I definitely have practices now that help me in balancing life a lot better than recognizing that everything's positive, and that's the only way you can reframe life, because it's not real.
And are those some of the things that you're sharing in the book to help others, perhaps if they're on the same journey? Because I'm somebody who struggles with perhaps weak boundaries and people pleasing and that kind of thing. And that's why I thought to myself, I'd love to read this to maybe just take some of your lessons and apply them in my own life.
Absolutely. I mean, I would love for that to be the real landing point of this whole book, because I didn't want to really just do a memoir. I've been asked like over many years to do a memoir, and I was just like,
it's more than that.
Yeah, I've got more years in me to kind of live, and I just feel there's someone else who could do a version, an unlicensed version that knows more about where I was when I did that first song and who I wrote it with, and more intricate or articulate it better than I could. But if I could write something that actually could help people, now we're talking, we're in a word. But I could only talk on something, and this is always the real life lesson, is that sometimes you have to, not even sometimes, you have to feel the thing that you're talking about to actually really talk on it with real empathy and passion and to understand it. So I couldn't really talk about depression before, because I hadn't really felt the severity of it until I really hit rock bottom. Mental health, to talk about it in a way of, we're all dealing with different levels of mental health. People pleasing, not being able to say no when I'm saying yes to things that I don't want to do. Lack of boundaries, as you said. What is that? How do you have boundaries? And I'm working on all of these things, but shining light on them at the same time. Yeah,
because otherwise, if you haven't been through it, you're just paying lip service, right?
Absolutely, and you're given very passive kind of things to do, as an affirmation,
or it sounds preachy.
Yeah, and people never want to be preached to, and I think that was the one thing also with articulating in the book, that I had to really be, like I said, I haven't got the melodies to give me the blanket of cover. For songs, it's easy. You can write a song and the melody hits that chord and you hit the note and then you say the words and it lands. Take all the melodies and all those beautiful chords out, and you've got to actually articulate in words, land it, that someone will lean into it. It doesn't feel like I'm telling you something that you haven't found yourself. Because that's the real art of any kind of self-help book, is to be like, well, here's my story. If it resonates with you, cool, and if it doesn't, that's cool too. And I think that's I hope that I've landed it in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you had to go back to your 16-year-old self, you're standing at the dance hall with your dad, and if you had to approach yourself back then and say you are going to have a 20-odd career in music, would you have believed that person talking to you in that moment?
No. First I would have been like, whoa, this is quite amazing that like you're speaking to me, like look at you looking now. Wow. I would have had that little moment for a moment, little mirage thing happening. But then I wouldn't have been able to really comprehend what was going on. But I would actually say that actually if I did go back and I was from the other juxtaposition, and I went back and said to my younger self, like, Craig, just know that everything that you're going to go through, as hard as some things would be, the highs are going to be incredible, but it will land you in a place at some point where you will speak your truth in such a way that will really connect with people and give context to all of these songs that you want to make and all this traveling. You'll land in a place that will be really magical, because I genuinely feel like I've arrived at that place where I'm like, okay, 22 years of making music was actually to build a foundation that now I can actually really do the work, which is to help people. Because otherwise, if I'm still talking about did you get a number one or how many records you sold, it's like, come on, bro, like you missed the whole memo here.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I get it now. So it's like, it's exciting for me.
And when it comes to DJing, what do you love most about playing a DJ set to a crowd of people on a dance floor?
You have to read the crowd really well. It's no different than when it was back in the day. The beauty is I can draw for like the catalogue of songs, which I love. So I know I can just like I could pull out the tune, and it's not like you having to get it from that other artist now. You know, I could drop the 7 days if you need to drop it there.
And I'm sure they go wild.
What? The beauty is, if you can get through the set and get those songs in, that everyone's like, wow, this is great, and you still haven't even dropped 7 days. That's a beautiful moment.
They're just waiting for it, man. They're waiting for it.
Or you flip it on its head and you go early doors. You go confident out the blocks with like, here it is, straight, and they're like, what? Like, you went with that one straight away. I love that confidence too. But the DJ thing, it allows this the spontaneity that allows me to do a full-on performance, but also mix and DJ something that I missed because I couldn't integrate that when I wanted to do it. Went so fast that I couldn't get the DJ element into my live shows. It was acoustic and full band. And the DJ thing was so intrinsic to how I made mixtapes and how I wrote Born to do it. So to be able to incorporate it in TS5, wow, it's like a full circle moment for me.
And some of your favorite vinyls right now, some of your favorite tracks to play that you know are always going to just make the crowd go crazy?
See, it's still kind of, it's the timeless ones. So like, if you drop like a Whitney Houston, It's Not Right But It's Okay, or a Jump Around, House of Pain, or then I take it back to like Rewind or one of those kind of tunes of my own, and then to know you got TLC, no Scrubs in the mix, and you can, because there's certain songs that, and I've tried an array because I've done mixtapes for such a long time, that they hit every single time. And I think that some of those classics, the golden ones, like they never lose their freshness. A new generation will discover it in a different way. Evergreen, yeah, absolutely. But some DJs, like, they don't tend to always go there. They're like, I've got to play the new thing, got to stay current with the trends. Cool, that's cool. But then you just drop a little classic in there. It was like, yo, that's
just
what I'm
a cheeky little classic.
That's a cheeky little classic and everything's Chris.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Rise and Fall with Sting was really well received here in South Africa. How was the experience of recording with Sting, who was already a household name when you were born?
That, I have to say, was a very sort of out-of-body experience. On one hand, I'm seeing Sting in the vocal booth and thinking, wow, how are we here? It's shaping my heart. Like, the guitar riff was like so huge that I'd used, and the fact that he had accepted to sing on the song. But then there's this moment where I'm like pressing like the talkback button to talk to Sting, and I said, Sting, can you just try the melody just slightly different? Would you just try hitting like this note as opposed to that? And I'm sort of singing through the mic to show him how to sing this one part of the track, and I'm thinking there was a moment where I had to pull myself back and think, bro, like, what are you doing? This is Sting, man. Like, I'd just gone into like music, like a musician to musician, yeah, artist to artist. But he was so graceful to be like, yeah, of course, man, like, sing it again, Craig. And I just give him the thing, and it set the tone for me then working with young aspiring artists that you're always learning. You know, and I was like a young 17, 18-year-old kid who was like this is the way I heard it. It wasn't anything but I know for the greater good of this song that note is going to be better here, and he honoured that rather than he could have said, like, I'm Sting, yeah, I don't have to do anything, so I'm lucky I'm even in the studio, yeah, and that would have been enough for me. But he was so graceful, and I loved that, and it just sort of was a great example for me.
Wow, that's amazing.
He's a good man. Wow,
he is larger than life, but just such a cool person.
He's very, very much so. And the songs he's written are just like, oh my God. Fields of Dreams, and like, it's crazy. So
these are just a couple of things about South Africa, because I know it's not your first time here. So, do you know what load shedding is?
Yeah, it's when the microphone locks off and no one is hearing any interviews anymore, and everyone's like, "Yo, what's going on?" But I also do feel for the people here, because I know it's something that's an ongoing thing. Yeah. That people are like, this needs to change, that we can have some consistency here.
Most definitely. Do you know what a vuvuzela is?
Yeah, they were going wild at the last World Cup. Like, when you blow that thing, the thing is, yeah, it's kind of like, it feels like a horn meets Notting Hill Carnival. That's always when I feel. When I hear that, it's like, yeah, we're ready for the party, for the carnival.
I believe you've got some football skills over your own.
Do you know what? Any artist who tells you that they're a baller, yeah, but they're actually not playing football, right? Just always be questionable, that, because I can tell, yeah, I got the Messi thing, I got the Ronaldo, yeah. But did you ever play? Well, yeah, I used to play like for they always tell you a story, yeah.
Yeah. If it wasn't for my knee, I would be pro.
There we go. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, Arsenal and Tottenham and Southampton were going to sign me, but I went with the music route. Really? Okay, cool.
But obviously, you're super proud of the Lions at the World Cup.
Do you know, we're really happy. I mean, the fact we got this far is amazing.
Yeah.
But I think everyone is, if you're a fan just of football, outside of any of the nations, and you just look at Messi and Ronaldo, which could possibly be their last World Cup, of them playing for their countries, to see them in the final would be actually like, even though I would love the Three Lions to be there, imagine them playing out their skin, like in the final together.
Yeah,
wow.
be incredible.
It'd be something amazing.
Right, here's a bit of a more tough one. Do you know what a braaibroodjie is?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay, to guess? It's something you eat.
Is it sweet or savoury?
Savoury.
Is it kind of like a patty kind of like a meat pie thing? No.
It is pretty much a sandwich that you'd put on the barbecue.
Oh, sandwich?
Yeah.
Oh, really? So literally it's a normal sandwich but toasted?
Yeah, on the barbecue, on the braai.
Is it?
Yeah.
And then you put a load of cheese on that?
Cheese, a little bit of onion, maybe some relish.
And then open or closed?
Closed. It's got to be closed, yeah.
And then just grill it and tighten and eat. And enjoy yourself with a nice little drink in your cup.
Totally. All right. A Gatsby. Have you heard of that one?
I mean, I know of the movie, but that's probably going to be way off what the... So, it sounds like a hat situation, but I might be very wrong.
It is like a sub, but it's got everything in it.
It's another food thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is?
We're big into our food, yeah.
So Gatsby, so break it down, so it's a sandwich situation again? Or?
Sandwich situation again, and then you've got like Russians and chips, and what else is in there?
Everything.
Cheese, everything. And then you have to carry it like a baby.
Like that?
Yeah, they can go.
Do you have that before? That's an after, like, it's
after a big night out.
3 o'clock in the morning thing?
Yeah, you share it with all your mates.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
And if there's any left over in the morning, you
eat that too. No, you don't even
heat it up on the brie and on the
you eat it on the hood of your car.
On the hood, it was hot.
Yeah.
Get a little frying pan and good to go.
And then finally, a boerbelbroekie. Any idea what that one is? It's not food.
I have no idea. I was actually looking at it. It's a bag or some kind of... I don't know if that was...
It is made out of fabric.
Okay, it's made out of fabric. I thought you were giving me the inside information there. Sorry.
It's in the bag.
There was a... The lovely lady here like had the bag in her hand and sort of pulled it out, and I thought, oh, she's giving me the inside info. And then, okay.
It's in there. You do wear it.
A scarf.
I think lower.
I just thought I'd give it's a curveball one, but you do not want a scarf in the middle of summer in the Cape Town. Skirt. Shorts.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a pair of khaki shorts that our like farming guys would wear, but like the hot farmers.
Oh, right.
You know, with the really toned legs.
Got you.
Yeah,
so it hugs the quads and everything.
Yeah,
okay,
ladies love it.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So is it in the bag to see? You're gonna present me some
a boerbelbroekie.
Let me see what's going on.
They're very high and very tight.
They're high and tight.
Yeah.
Jeez, I better do some more lunges to fit this wide these things. What you said they hug tight?
I think those
That's
are
why
large.
that is for the guys who are working super hard on the farm, because that is wide. I mean, thank you so much. It's very kind of you.
That's a pleasure. Enjoy.